COVID-19 cases are high and it's overwhelming our healthcare system. The caregivers at San Juan Regional Medical Center need your help.
Our resources are exhausted. We're very limited on what we have the capacity to do because we're being overwhelmed with the number of individuals that are requiring ICU care at this point.
So what can you do to help? Most importantly, ignore the rhetoric and get vaccinated.
Continue hand washing, continue to wear your mask and social distance.
Help us so we can help you.
"11 minutes past 8 o'clock. It is Monday morning, January 31st, 2022. Good morning, everyone. I'm Scott Michlin, and thank you for tuning in to KSJE 90.9 FM over the air, of course, here in San Juan County, New Mexico. Streaming everywhere else at KSJE.com, and we hope to be back on the air soon in Durango, Colorado at 103.3 FM. So stick around for that, of course. We welcome also our viewers who are watching this visual radio program. It is streaming out live this morning to the KSJE Facebook page, our YouTube channel, and our Twitter account. So we're glad that you are with us this morning, everybody, because coming up today in the next few moments, some big leadership changes at a local family-owned oil and gas company, Marion Oil and Gas. We will tell you more about that coming up in the next few moments right here on KSJE, of course. And then we'll talk to Lewis Campbell from Synergy Computer Systems, part of our Monday Reboot segment. That is coming up today on the radio at 8:50 a.m. on KSJE. Mikesh will be here next hour, roving with the arts. He is playing music from Samuel Barber, some violin concertos for us coming up on Roving with the Arts at 9:06. And don't forget, of course, we invite you to connect with us on our Instagram page, in addition to Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. And also, of course, if you are a podcast person, you can check out KSJE's podcasts wherever you listen to podcasts, places like Podbean and iTunes and much, much more. You can subscribe for free and take us with you. Weather forecast, there are some changes in the weather due later on this week, but for today, mostly sunny skies across the four corners today. The high today in Farmington reaching about 52 degrees, we are saying. Then tonight, mostly clear skies with a low of 15 degrees. Tomorrow, increasing clouds on Tuesday with a high tomorrow of about 50 degrees. And then, of course, tomorrow night, a chance of snow showers developing on Tuesday night on into Wednesday with some winter storm watches already in effect for the next few hours. And we could see some rain or snow Tuesday night on into Wednesday. That is the latest from the forecast. Joining me this morning to talk a bit about a leadership change at a local company. Actually, it's been family-owned for the past 62 years. T. Greg Merrion from Marion Oil and Gas is here with me in Studio A, and also his son Ryan Merrion is here. Gentlemen, good morning, and thanks for coming in this morning.
Good morning, Scott. We're glad to be here.
Good to have you both here. T. Greg, big announcement, I guess, as I mentioned, right? You are doing something.
I am going to step down as the president of Marion Oil and Gas on Tuesday, February 22nd, 2022 at 2:22 in the afternoon.
Well, there you go. That sounds like a lot of thought went into that decision and that date and time.
Yes, well, we thought we picked it because we thought it was a fun date and time.
Right.
And so.
Very good. And so when that happens, then Ryan becomes the president of Marion Oil and Gas. That's the plan, right?
That's the plan, yep. Ryan steps in to my shoes, and he'll run the company from that point on. And
this may sound familiar to long-timers in Farmington because this is kind of the same succession that you took when your father stepped down from the role of president of Marion Oil and Gas.
That's right. So the company started 62 years ago in 1960. My dad risked everything and drilled a well here in the San Juan Basin. It was named the Edna #1 after his mom. And in 1992, he turned the reins over to me. And at that time, he was about 64 years old, and I was about 34 years old. And that's very similar to the ages of Ryan and I now. And I just remember at the time thinking, that the transition went very well. I felt like I was ready to step into the position at that age, and so I followed in my dad's footsteps, and I'm doing something similar.
Right. And I imagine there's been a few changes over those years, right? Since you took over the company, and how things are changing even today. It seems like it's maybe happening a little faster. I don't know. Do you agree?
Yeah, I do agree. So there have been a lot of changes. So I've been in the oil and gas industry for 42 years. I graduated from college in 1980. 37 of those years have been at Marion Oil and Gas, and 30 of those years I've been the president of Marion Oil and Gas, so from 1992 to 2022. And when I first took over, we had a much larger organization. We were just coming off a failed exploration program, and we had a lot more employees than we had work to do. And so I started my stint as the president of Merrion Oil and Gas by having to downsize the organization, which was a very, very difficult thing to do, very difficult way to start out. But it was the right thing to do. I had a very different management style than my dad. My dad was a very smart man and type A personality. He liked to make all the decisions, and when I stepped in, my management style is much more inclusive, and I put the responsibility of a lot of the decision making on the management team. We had a lot of ancillary companies when I first took over Marion Oil and Gas. We had a pumping unit repair service, and a used oil field equipment company, and a crude oil purchasing company, and a workover repair service company, and I think there were some others. And a lot of those other companies were either losing money or breaking even, and they had a lot of problems, and they were taking up a lot of my time. And so one of the things I did was eliminated all those ancillary companies, and we decided to focus on what we do best, which was exploring for and producing oil and gas.
Right.
And so we focused like a laser on that, and that's been kind of the story.
Right. And those other services, I suppose, could have been picked up by other support companies separate than Marion Oil and Gas, right? If you needed help for oil purchasing or some of the other things you were talking about, right? Weren't there other support businesses in the area that you could contract with if you needed those services?
Oh, absolutely.
And that's
absolutely.
That's what a lot of businesses do.
That's right.
Yeah.
Oh, that is, and that's what we've done ever since.
Yeah.
So you don't have to do it all, and different companies. Some companies want to do it all. For us, the right thing though was to focus.
Right. Right. Let me turn to Ryan for just a minute.
Yes.
And have him talk to us a little bit about his background, and congratulations to the future president of Marion Oil and Gas.
Thank
and
you.
Thank you for coming in. And so you've certainly lived, breathed, and dealt with oil and gas much of your life, right? You went to school for it. You've worked in the industry for a number of years already, correct?
Yeah, correct. And so in high school, actually, that's when I first became involved with the company, and I got the opportunity to roustabout. And so early on, I got a little snippet of the oil and gas industry and what it was all about. And so I followed in my dad's footsteps, became an engineer, and went to Colorado School of Mines, and decided early on that I wanted to pursue petroleum engineering. One, because I had a little background, I had that roustabout experience.
And you had that name.
And I
I mean,
had that name.
Right.
And so after college, I went north to Montana and North Dakota, and I worked for a service company, San Juan. and they frack and they cement, and so I got a little different experience up north, and that's when everything was booming up there. So it was kind of nice to get exposed to that type of experience early on. In 2014, Steve Dunn, who was the operations manager of Marion, stepped down. Ryan Davis took his place, and so they had an opening for a production engineer. And so my dad met with me and decided it was time for me to come back home. And so I started out as a production engineer for Marion, and then took over as operations manager when Ryan Davis focused on special projects. And then recently became vice president. So
There you go. And you've been there ever since.
and yeah,
obviously,
past,
right?
Yeah, 8 years.
And welcome home.
Yeah.
So there you go. Well, there was a video that was produced for the 50th anniversary, I believe, of the company, right, T. Greg?
That's
and we've
correct,
talked
yes.
about that before, too, that you shared with me. And I thought it was such a great kind of synopsis and great history and look at the company and some great photos of your family and just kind of how it all came to be, because it really was not necessarily by accident, but I mean, a lot of things had to kind of work the right way for us to be talking the way we're talking about today. And it could have gone a very different direction, right? With the family history and the company history.
That's right.
Okay.
That's right. My dad risked it all, and thankfully that first well worked out.
There you go. So if you don't mind, I'd like to play that video for the audience and
All
just
right.
talk a little bit about Marion Oil and Gas and the history. Again, this is a 62-year-old family-owned company in Farmington, New Mexico, that's been dealing with oil and gas development here. So let's take a look.
Father started out in the wool business. However, the invention of synthetic fibers was a huge blow, not only to fashion, but to the wool market as well. So my grandfather donned his handmade wool sports jacket and shifted his focus to buying and selling ranches in the West. One of the ranches that he bought in the late 1940s was located near Counselor, New Mexico. Leo's business savvy was every bit as keen as his fashion sense, so when he later sold the ranch, he retained the minerals. Leo passed away in the early 1950s. His sons turned to their sibling in the oil business and directed him to monetize those family-owned minerals. That would be J. Greg, who grew up in Chicago, Illinois, and went to college and studied petroleum engineering at Tulsa University. At the time he received his brother's directive, he was newly married, living in Midland, Texas, working as the district manager for British American Oil Company. All his brothers were asking was that he quit his high-paying job, leave his Texas friends, and move his wife and 2 young children to Farmington, New Mexico, where he knew nobody. Game on. The game turned out to be a tough one. In a letter to his mother, J. Greg stated that he had written directly to many drilling contractors and independent oil men, worked up an elaborate brochure, and advertised in the Wall Street Journal. However, he was unable to make a deal because most companies found his proposed terms too stiff. Unable to market the deal, he convinced his 4 brothers to pool all their money, borrow even more, and drill their own well. They named the well the Edna No. 1 after their mother. To their good fortune, the well was a success. It was drilled to a depth of almost 6,000 feet and completed in the Gallup Formation on December 21st, 1960 at a rate of 190 barrels of oil per day. That was 50 years ago, and the renegade petroleum engineer was my dad, J. Greg Merrion. His wife is my mom, Rita. My brother Mike and I are the 2 young children that made that fateful trip from Midland to Farmington in 1960. It was the beginning of an oil and gas business that is known today as Marion Oil and Gas. In the years that followed, J. Greg rented office space in what is now Farmington Tire on Apachean Airport. He shared the office with another young entrepreneur named Bob Bayless. In 1965, J. Greg and Bob formed an association imaginatively called Merrion and Bayless, and began drilling shallow wells and acquiring properties in northwest New Mexico, San Juan Basin, and the southern Rockies. Needing help as they grew, J. Greg and Bob hired a young engineer, Steve Dunn, in 1976. In 1981, Marion and Bayless decided to amicably terminate their joint venture, and Marion Oil and Gas became the operating entity for their collective properties. By 1985, oil prices were in the tank and drilling activity was at a standstill. In his typical contrarian manner, J. Gregg decided to embark upon an Entrada exploration program. The Marion team put together a brochure and video and hit the streets. Let's hear the sales pitch.
A number of very nice looking prospects. Some of those prospects have upwards of 100 million barrels of oil in place, perhaps as much as 30 million barrels recoverable. We're going to find an awful lot of oil.
Additional seismic, we're guaranteed to have success for the investor.
The successful completion of this well should allow us to recover an additional 250,000 barrels of oil at rates up to 300 barrels per day.
Like all exploration programs, is risky. However, given even a moderate level of success, the return from Phase 1 should pay out the initial and Phase 1 costs and provide the investor an excellent rate of return.
The program is of rather large proportions, covering 1.2 million acres of oil and gas leases and drilling concessions, and more than 3,000 miles of seismic data. From this base, we've delineated hundreds of oil and gas prospects and leads, and we're confident we will find some large oil fields.
Ultimately, we partnered with Avon Air Jamie Clark to drill 10 exploration wells. Turns out we were a teensy bit optimistic. Unfortunately, all 10 exploration wells were dry holes, and the program was a total bust. But the game wasn't over. J. Gregg ultimately built Marion Oil and Gas into one of the largest family-owned independents in New Mexico. In 1993, J. Gregg retired, but continued to serve as senior advisor until his death in 2002. During these years, I had matured, and in 1992, I took over as president and chairman of the board. My brother Mike and my other siblings Mark, Annie, and Neil are stockholders and directors, along with our mom, Rita.
It's quite a story, because in this day and age, a 50-year-old second-generation company is truly a rarity. Our company, like our universe, has continued to expand. Thanks, Master Architect, for this great world we live in. Thanks, Great-Great-Granddad, for moving to the United States. Thanks, Granddad, for retaining the minerals on the Counselor Ranch. Thanks, Mom, for all your patience and support and being such a great wife, mom, and grandmother. And finally, thanks, Dad, for risking it all to drill that very first well. Frankly, we're glad your deal was too stiff for everyone else.
And there you go, a little bit of the history of the Marion Oil and Gas Company in Farmington, the second-generation company, now a third-generation company, as T. Gregg Marion is with me this morning announcing his retirement next month in February, and the reins will be turned over to his son, Ryan Marion, and Ryan's here as well. And so looking back at that video, memories, T. Gregg?
Yeah, wow, it brings back a flood of memories, Scott.
And quite the history of your family, too. I mean, it's something to be in a business for 62 years, but for the business to be in the family for 62 years, as you said in the video, that's very unique. It doesn't happen every day.
Right, right. And I don't take it for granted at all. I feel really, really blessed that, you know, Ryan's got an engineering degree and an interest in taking over as president of the company. That's a... our family's very, very lucky.
Right.
And so, yeah, you know, and when I was thinking about that, the reality is my dad's dad, 4 generations. So
that's true. Yes.
He's the one that retained the minerals on the ranch down near Counselor, New Mexico, that set this whole deal up.
Right. And from that one well, right? That first well, that's where everything grew from. Isn't that true?
Right, right.
Very good.
That's how it all started.
They're very good. Well, Ryan, you must have it in your veins, right? The oil and gas must be flowing through after fourth generation of Marion, right? To be able to take over. But what are your thoughts? Again, I mean, it's a big responsibility, obviously, and a big family history and a big local history with this company that's been such a big part of Farmington's history over the last 62 years.
Yeah, super big responsibility, definitely big shoes to fill. I'm nervous, but I'm also excited to carry this through another generation. And like my dad said, I mean, he's just a phone call away, and so it'll be fun and interesting, and I think I'm ready, and we'll see how things go.
Right. Well, and again, it sounds like he's going to be available maybe just down the hall a little bit if you did have a question or something to ask about, right, as things go forward.
Yeah, he'll take over as senior advisor, and we also, Marion has a lot of employees that have a lot of experience, and so I'll definitely lean on them as well, and
that's
we'll
good.
Get through it.
That's good. Well, and it's all part of putting together a good team, I would think, right, T. Greg? I mean, you probably know how that works.
Yep. We that was another thing that I've been very, very fortunate. I had a professor when I went to college. His name was Billy Mitchell, and he taught drilling at Colorado School of Mines, and he used to tell us that there's one thing that's more important than anything else, and that is to surround thyself with competence. And he said, if you'll do that, things will work out. And I certainly have done that. And we have a team at Marion Oil and Gas that's second to none. They are just as good as it gets, and so Ryan's right. You know, he steps into an important position, but the team is in place and has a lot of experience and a lot of respect, and so I think everything's going to be great.
That's great. Well, and another thing I think is important for folks to realize is your kind of business philosophy over the years, and that's really been to kind of do the right thing and have fun while you do it, and it's not like every other business, I don't think. It's very unique as to how you go about your business partnerships, how you treat your employees. All of those policies, I think, are fairly unique to your company.
Yeah. Well, we do have a very unique and fun culture, and those things that you brought up are all correct. Those are part of our core values. We like to we do like to have fun, but I share with people that, you know, fun is more than just having a party. It's being able to comfortably do your job and make decisions without worrying about someone second guessing you. It's fun to make money and to drill good oil and gas wells. It's fun to be able to invest in the deals that come before the company, and that's another thing that we allow all of our employees to do, is to invest right alongside us in every deal that comes through our front door. And so, yeah.
That's important. That gives them ownership, I would think.
That gives them ownership and the same motivation we have to make sure things go well.
Right. I called up your website. I want to repeat some of those core values, if you don't mind, that the company has front and center. You know, being fair and honest, number one, planning wisely, doing superior work, aligning interests, helping others, being good stewards, and enjoying life. And that kind of says all you need to say, I think, about what we see when we think about your company. And there's another part of the company too that I want to, and the family that I wanted to bring up, and that of course is the foundation, because a lot of things in Farmington have happened because of the generosity of the Marion Family Foundation. And I can't do a program on the company without talking about the foundation and some of the philanthropic efforts that your family has made. And I know some of that is you, T. Greg, but others in the family that all take part in those decisions, correct?
That's right. Yes, it's a family foundation, and the family participates in the philanthropic outreach of the family.
And that's an important component, right? I mean, some businesses wouldn't bother with that necessarily. They may just send profits to stockholders and call it a day. But it's a little different for you.
Yep, it's important for us to give back to this community that's been so good to us, and so we've got that foundation established, and we have 5 areas that we concentrate on. We support.
Put you on the spot, yeah.
We support entities that support our industry and free enterprise. We love to support economic development. We love to support education. Those 2 in particular help people to help themselves. We support the arts, and then there's lots of social services in our community, and we support them as well. So those are the 5 key areas that we concentrate on.
Right. And full disclosure, you have supported KSJE from time to time, of which we very much appreciate it. So
sure we have.
We appreciate that as well.
All right, and we appreciate you and all you and KSJE and San Juan College do for our community. It's a wonderful, wonderful asset.
Well, we think public radio is an important component, right, to get the message out and to celebrate what's great with our community and talk about how we can do things better in our community, which is kind of what we try to do here each and every day. Ryan, I want to turn back to you a little bit about maybe future plans for the company as we look at the energy markets and the world today. I mean, obviously things are different from when your dad took over from your grandfather, and I imagine you'll be faced with decisions to make that your dad maybe never even thought he'd have to make, right, as things move forward. But it seems like the company has a good core and a good foundation and can really weather whatever storm is coming or whatever changes are coming with the energy markets as we see them today. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, you can definitely see the world changing, and I think it all goes back to our mission to make the world a better place by providing safe and reliable energy. And so I think the focus is on energy, and as far as near-term future prospects, I think the goal is to continue down that road, and things are good right now as far as the direction and the strategy of the company, and we'll continue down that path. And I think if we see a change that requires a shift, we'll make a shift. But really, I think energy is the core foundation of the business, and so that's the direction the company will continue to grow and work in.
Right. And by energy, of course, oil and gas is in your name, but could that mean other forms of energy too, perhaps, down the road?
Perhaps. I think natural gas really is going to be around for a long time, and it provides a stable energy source. Renewables are important as well to complement, but I do think natural gas is around to stay for a while, and it will be essential to grow not only in advancement of other energies, but to provide energy for future generations.
Sure. Well, you're in the right basin to say that, right, about natural gas, that's for sure. T. Greg, I mean, you've seen changes under your leadership with the company, and prices have been the lowest of the low and gone back up to the highest of the high from time to time, right? It's just that's the cyclical nature of the energy business, isn't it?
It is, Scott, and that's one of the things. The way we're designed at Marion Oil and Gas, we've got a relatively small core group of employees, and when things get busy and prices are high and there's lots of activity, we'll take on additional consultants and contractors to get work done. When things slow down, we retain that core group of employees and are able to kind of roll with the punches, so to speak.
Well, and you've learned how to do that.
And we've learned how
over
to do
62
that.
years.
Yes, yes.
And so, very good. Well, T. Greg Marion and Ryan Marion, I appreciate both of you coming in. Again, your family, your company has done a lot for the community. I know there's a lot of folks that are watching that will appreciate what your company has meant to the community of Farmington, what the family and the foundation has meant to the community of Farmington. It seems like, T. Greg, I know you've told me before, you're committed to living in Farmington, being a company based in Farmington. That doesn't change necessarily, right, with this change?
Nope, that doesn't change at all. Our headquarters are here in Farmington, and this is what we call home. And I plan to continue to keep my home base here as well. Plan to visit my kids and grandkids more and do more traveling and golfing and photography and some of the fun hobbies that I haven't been able to spend much time at heretofore. But
very good. And Ryan, Marion, this is a good place to grow up. This is a good place to come home to after college and after seeing the energy fields of Wyoming and Montana, right?
Yeah. I mean, Farmington is definitely a good place to raise a family and full of fun activities, from mountain biking to hiking to going up and skiing or snowboarding. So
very, very true. And so your intention is to keep the company here as well?
Yeah. We'll definitely keep it local.
Very good. Well, gentlemen, again, thank you for coming in. Ryan, congratulations. Good luck to you.
All right.
And come back anytime. T. Greg, you'll have a lot more free time, so I expect to see you a lot more often.
Okay.
Thank you for being here and for all
good.
that you've done for the community. I appreciate it.
Thank you for having us,
Thank
Scott.
you, Scott.
You're very welcome. T. Greg Marion, Ryan Marion, my guests here on KSJE. KSJE and San Juan College present the Student Success Coaching Tip of the Week.
All right, again, for week tip number 2 from the Student Achievement Center is time management. We really encourage our students to develop a time management. This can include creating a study plan at the beginning of the semester based on your course syllabus. Ideally, you should study a little bit every day throughout the week. Even just 20 minutes can make a huge difference, so you don't wind up cramming and stressing out right before the big exam. Also, don't forget to look at the big picture. Review your syllabus each class and set the due dates on the calendar for exams, tests, and big assignments. This ensures that you have plenty of time for study for your tests or complete those larger assignments that are due.
The Student Success Coaching Tip of the Week, presented by KSJE and the Student Achievement Center at San Juan College. KSJE is supported by the Farmington Civic Center, bringing a full slate of entertainment to Farmington and San Juan County. Dancing with the Farmington Stars, Wednesday, February 19th at 7 p.m. The Farmington Civic Center, 200 West Arrington in downtown Farmington. Find out more online at fmtn.org/shows or at 505-599-1148.
The role the Internet plays in human trafficking. From American Public Media, this is Marketplace Tech. I'm Kimberly Adams.